Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Planet Tyro, where we're going to continue the discussion of the Wheel of Time series, the Wheel of Time book series by Robert Jordan. If I'm getting author's name wrong, please forgive me. I'm pretty sure it's Robert Jordan. Hey Google, who wrote the Wheel of Time?
Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson wrote The Wheel of Time.
Even Google confirms Robert Sand. Well, that's a debate for another day. Anyway, I have finally completed the Wheel of Time book series, and the title of this video is very interesting because the more I thought about the Wheel of Time, my thoughts on it remind me of one of anime's biggest franchises. Not in relation to the story or the plot, it's just as an entity what it reminds me of. So let's start by me saying this. Let's answer the question: should you read the Wheel of Time? Is the Wheel of Time worth checking out? And my succinct answer to that is pretty much, but not for everybody. And I'll explain. So, the Wheel of Time, now that it's done, it was enjoyable for me. It got better as it went along. And as I thought, I felt like the last three books that Brandon Sanderson took over for, because the author passed away sadly, it got to the chase, and the ending was kind of meh. I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is a little bit more. It ended a little bit more traditionally than I was expecting. But what I want to say about the Wheel of Time is, looking back on it now, one of the biggest mistakes I made reading this book, and I know a lot of people are going to say that this shouldn't be a prerequisite to read the book, is not getting involved with the community. These books are long. Each of the Wheel of Time books are very dense, very long. And every time I finished, there was so much that went on. I kind of wanted to talk to someone about it, and there was no one to talk to about. Even though my brother and sister read it, they read it 7 years ago, and I just didn't. I really should have went on YouTube and watched people talk about these books, because it made they understood a lot of the plot a little bit better than me, and just hearing them comment on things that I disagreed on or agreed on, it made the book series more enjoyable. And as the series went on and on and on, it was so long. From an anime fan's perspective, it reminded me of the Dragon Ball franchise. Now, stay with me here. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and GT, whatever. Let's just say Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z for simplicity. This is a franchise that is quite long, has a lot of lovable characters, and Dragon Ball Z in particular has a lot of dragged outness to it. That the Dragon Ball Z is pretty well known for dragging things out. But even though Dragon Ball Z dragged out a lot of his storyline, you got a lot of enjoyment with the characters. You really lived in this situation with the characters. The Namek arc, the Frieza arc, the Super Saiyan arc is the biggest thing I could point to when I bring this up. You're on Namek for all this time. You're waiting for Goku to transform. This is going on. The Ginyu Force and Vegeta and Krillin and Frieza mutating all these. And when you're reading The Wheel of Time, a lot of it to me felt like that. I'm enjoying this, but the major plot, you're waiting for this battle to commence that was promised to you. And I felt that with the community, as a Dragon Ball fan, talking to my friends about Dragon Ball and us all suffering together, it just elevated my experience of Dragon Ball. And it's the same thing here. Now, I never got in contact with anyone about the Wheel of Time until the last video I made. Now, I'm going to put the video link up here so you guys can check it out. But after video 7, some people got in contact with me, and I started searching YouTube for, book summaries of the older ones. People talk, and then it was so interesting to hear everyone's thoughts on the book and all the plot points, because the Wheel of Time, although it has great characters and great scenes, it is, in my opinion, just like Dragon Ball franchise, is really dragged out. But just like the Dragon Ball franchise, a lot of people say that it's a crucial series, crucial fantasy series that you're kind of missing out on. Now, here's the problem. If you read The Wheel of Time now, and you've read a lot of other fantasy books, you might say, this isn't really much different than other stuff I've read. And again, it's like watching a newer anime now with all, a newer shonen anime now with all the tropes, all the power-ups, all the tournaments. You've seen it before. That's because they learned it from Dragon Ball. And the same with a lot of other fantasy books I've read in the future. They got a lot of ideas from The Wheel of Time. The Wheel of Time is an innovative book. And even though a lot of other authors have taken ideas and built upon it, which makes this book now, reading Wheel of Time now, seems a little bit more, I've seen it before, it's kind of generic, reminds you of this, reminds you of that. The Wheel of Time still has its own identity. So, I really enjoyed living in the world of The Wheel of Time. The books are so long, just like, you remember the first, I keep relating this to Dragon Ball, and it just makes it easier for me as an analogy. One of the first arcs in Dragon Ball is when Dragon Ball Z is when Goku dies and he's on Snake Way. He's got to train with I can't remember this guy's name. The sensei in the gravity. No, he's training on the planet, and again, there's so much stuff that reminds me of that in this book. You're just in the tavern with Matt, and he's just talking, he's drinking, he's gambling. But all that time, the Wheel of Time book is such a lived-in universe, that to me, it was like a warm sweater. It's like a hoodie that I would put on. I'm like, man, this hoodie is kind of like, it's old, but it's, I like putting this hoodie on. I want to wear a new hoodie. I want to move on, but it's just comfortable. And that's what the Wheel of Time is to me. It's a comfortable series, a crucial series in the fantasy book genre that has a lot of great characters. There's a lot of culture in the Wheel of Time. And this reminds me of is it the Demon Cycle? The Demon Cycle had these conflicting regions in it, and it really reminded me, when I was reading the Wheel of Time, I was like, I wonder if the author was inspired by the Demon Cycle author was inspired by Robert Jordan and the Wheel of Time, because I really feel like the culture thing really stands out here. Let's put the Dragon Ball analogy down for a minute and let me talk more about the Wheel of Time succinctly. Again, I'm not going to get into spoilers and just say this. I think one of the things I spoke about in the last series is that there's a lull. There's meant to be this lull in the Wheel of Time that I think it's books 7 to 9. It's just kind of meh. And I did feel that, but I still didn't skip. But I will say those books, important things happen in each book, but it did feel especially kind of meandering in those books until the last book, until Brandon Sanderson continued and finalized the story. And does that mean you should skip the whole thing? No, just like there's some, again going back to Dragon Ball, just like there's some sagas in Dragon Ball that say, oh, what is it, that Piccolo Garlic Junior saga, just skip it, stuff like that. But some important things happen there. What else do I want to say? I love the characters. What are my favorite characters in the Wheel of Time? Matt, I hated him in the first couple of books. He was just so annoying. By the end of the book, he was one of my favorite characters. Rand, the main character, he goes through a lot and is very whiny in the first couple of... They're all very whiny teenagers that they seem in the beginning. But the last 5 books, they really mature. And Rand, there's a particular... The last 3 books, or the last 4 books, he seriously matures. And he became really he has an epiphany, which really was a great epiphany, and it made him such an enjoyable character, and I loved him. And to be honest with you, looking at it in retrospect, when you see a character develop like that from a young, whiny teen to someone who understands who they are, becomes very mature, it's great to see. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't change it. I really wouldn't change it. Rand's development is amazing, which I really do like as the main character. And I just I didn't think it would happen. And I love the way it did happen. Great, cool scenes, I will say. Perrin, Wolf Boy, the changes they made to him in the TV series that I mentioned I didn't like. I mean, by the end of it, I like Perrin a lot as well. I do think he's a meh character and just holds himself back as a character as well. But yeah, I do like Perrin, and I still disagree with the change they made of him in the TV series. If you've never read the books, I don't think it will matter that much to you, I guess. But we'll talk about more about that as we talk about the Wheel of Time TV series, which I feel like I will be talking about the TV series on this channel every series as it comes along. Is there much more to say? Again, if you want to get involved with a franchise that a lot of other authors have been inspired by and has really good characters, then you should check out The Wheel of Time. The only problem with The Wheel of Time now is that a lot of authors have done similar stories, you know, and that could make The Wheel of Time seem kind of generic. And that's kind of the biggest problem against The Wheel of Time, you know. It inspired a lot of people. It's just like Dragon Ball. If you go and watch Dragon Ball right now, you've probably seen a lot of other newer shonen anime that have already done a lot of what Dragon Ball did. But that doesn't mean Dragon Ball isn't unique in itself, you know? And I think Brandon Sanderson did a decent job finishing it off. Now, Brandon Sanderson did say he wrote this series in the style of Robert Jordan. And yeah, I could kind of see that. Dragged out, focusing on things. But I do think he did kind of speed it up. Now, I will say that because The Wheel of Time is a kind of a cerebral story about reliving lives again and stuff like that, would I want to see a fresh take on The Wheel of Time by Brandon Sanderson, like from scratch, like another rebirth, another age, the sixth age, where Brandon Sanderson did this whole Wheel of Time story from start to finish? Yes and no. Yes and no. I think Brandon Sanderson does a lot of great stories on his own, and which I think he can do a little bit. Again, I think he would take a lot of the seeds from this and make his own stories, you know. I would read it if he did a Wheel of Time cycle, starting from scratch with all these characters and did it his own way. I would love to see what he'll do with that. But at the same time, Brandon Sanderson, again, has been influenced by Robert Jordan. That's why they chose him to write the book enough to the point where I guess I don't really need to see that at all. But I would be slightly interested. But sometimes you just got to let things lie. You don't need to remake every franchise. But ironically, if Brandon Sanderson 20 years said, you know what, let's remake The Wheel of Time, you know, and there's, you know, Robert Jordan's wife giving blessings, I think it's a cool idea down the line. Other things, maybe other characters should get their own books, like Lan, because people said Lan should get his own book, or Tan. Is it Lan and Tan? Tan, Ran's father. You know, maybe they're doing that with Lord of the Rings on Amazon as well. But for those of you who are honestly never read The Wheel of Time and think, is it worth it? I relate it to Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is a really good series, a lot of great characters, a lot of fans talk about it. It's fundamental to the genre. And I feel like The Wheel of Time is very similar. Not as, you know, Dragon Ball is so crucial and fundamental to shonen in so many ways. Would I say the same about The Wheel of Time? Not necessarily. But I will say that I'm glad that I've read The Wheel of Time and I'm in that community and I understand, and I really do like the characters on The Wheel of Time. And I do see it like as a badge of honor that I've read The Wheel of Time now. The series wasn't what I thought it was, and I think this is going to make a good show. I really hope with the show they pace it a little bit better. You know, visuals are good and the actors are good. They got the actors 100% right for the Wheel of Time TV series, which is great. Which is why I'm happy to continue to watch that. But you know, for you newbies out there, I don't know if you want to make that 14 or 13 book commitment to this. But I do think if you're ready, if you're a seasoned fantasy author, seasoned fantasy reader, and you don't mind reading something a bit dense and, you know, a bit foundational to the genres, some could argue, and has a big fan base, check out The Wheel of Time. But if you do read The Wheel of Time, be part of the community in terms of watching videos. Like, see what other people think about it. Read one book, then read someone talking about the book. It would heighten your enjoyment immensely. If you just read the book on your own, I honestly enjoyed this 4 times more, hearing people's opinion about the books as well, hearing their frustrations, their loves, their disagreements. It's great. You know, there's a guy on YouTube who's talking about, he's done summaries of the books. He's on character tier list, and I found them very fun. And I agreed with him in most sense and disagreed with him. And I'll put a link to his video up here you know, his channel. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah. Anyway, to summarize, Wheel of Time, cool book. Glad I read it. Got better as it went along. Had a lull in the middle, you know, but it's a 14 book saga, and Brandon Sanderson did a decent job. And lastly, what I will say, the ending was kind of meh. You know, the ending was kind of okay. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst, just okay. But I enjoyed the character journeys. I really enjoyed the character journeys. They were more interesting to me than even the ending, to be perfectly honest with you, which was just meh. But overall, if I had to give the Wheel of Time a rating on the Planet Tyro rating system, which nobody cares about ratings, I'll give the Wheel of Time a solid B. The Wheel of Time book series gets a solid B, you know? Check it out on Audible. The two authors that did the job were great, the man and the woman. Anyone who reads this book physically, you deserve an award. That is, my eyes can't take it, and it's so dense, so long. But what a great, I like to live in. I loved, this was a great series to always come back to. You know, I've been reading this book for a year, and it's a year I won't forget. The book stuck through me through some great times. Last question, would I ever read the Wheel of Book series again? Probably not. Probably not, to be honest with you. Why would I not read them again? They're just really long and dense. There's some books I really liked. The last couple of books I read again, I would really like someone to either condense the book and take out some of the filler, you know, or I would just probably like to read Brandon Sanderson do a reimagining, but I wouldn't read this series again. Not because it isn't good, just because it was very, very, very long. I wouldn't even watch Dragon Ball again, by the way. Same thing. I would not watch Dragon Ball Z again, but I have great memories. Glad I watched it, and now, you know, I'm happy to talk about it. So anyway, that's it. Wheel of Time completely finished. I will talk about the TV series on this channel as it develops. Leave your comments down below if you've read the Wheel of Time, if you're thinking about it. What do you think of my analogy? I know the Dragon Ball analogy was probably really fucking annoying, but I'm sorry. To me, it made perfect sense. To you, it might be a big ball of nonsense. But, you know, either way, it is what it is. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below as always. Watch out for more videos below. You saw I did a channel update just the other week talking about, you know, pivoting a little bit and moving some of the Woody Allen stuff to another channel. Blah, blah, blah. Check out that video. Check out the card for all of those details. But I'll love you and leave you and say stay safe, stay cool. See you on the next recording. Take care, guys. Peace. Peace out.